Hello, what is up, beautiful people? Welcome to Sugar-Free Self-Care TV. Today I'm gonna talk about the best topic in the world. It's the most amazing thing. Guess what it is? Stress. Let's talk about stress today because stress eating is really similar, like it goes right hand in hand with sugar cravings, right? It's like if stress eating and sugar cravings were like a couple, they'd be like couple of the year, okay? Always goes hand in hand. So the reason why I want to talk about stress eating was because I saw, I see you guys, I see you, and I see this in myself too. I see a lot of us human beings stress eating a lot, and I bring this up too because just yesterday I found myself in a stress eating moment, and I do have a history as a stress eater. I've been a nurse in the hospital for 8 years as a psychiatric nurse, and that was my thing. I would always go to the break room, the staff break room, to get cookies. Like if it got really stressful in the unit, if I had a busy day, I would just go right into that staff break room and I would just grab the cookies from Diddy Reese in Los Angeles and just get like 3 or 4 of those and just, swallow it whole almost, just kind of get rid of the stress. And what I saw, you guys, on social media is, especially during the election time, a lot of people are stress eating. I saw people on my Instagram feed. It was so interesting, like constantly just people talking about how they couldn't stop like eating cookies and candies and all the popcorn. Like I just saw people saying how they were stress eating on Instagram. And then even yesterday for me, I was stress eating. I hadn't had this happen in a while, but I was working on something for my business and I just found myself like I couldn't stop going to the refrigerator. I kept eating nuts like almonds and pecans, like that's my stress eating food. So I want to show you guys how to get out of that stress eating frenzy and how to finally break free from this. It almost feels like a vortex or like a black hole, like when you go into the stress eating mode. So I'll share with you guys like a simple tool that can help you stop stress eating for good. All right, so before I talk about the tool and how to change your life, how to finally stop feeling stressed and how to stop stress eating, you first have to know where stress actually comes from. So can anyone guess, if you post in the comments right now, can anyone guess where stress comes from? I mentioned it earlier, like people were stress eating during the election time. I was stress eating with my business stuff that I was doing. So a lot of us think that stress comes from our circumstances and our situation, like the elections, like, these candidates we have to choose from. We don't want Trump reelected or whatever your viewpoint was. We don't want Biden elected, like whatever it was. Most people think stress comes free from the environment, from the situation, from the circumstance. But can anyone guess why that isn't true? Post in the comments. I love to keep this interactive, but post in the comments why it's not true that stress doesn't come from the environment or the situation. It doesn't come from the situation because it is always subjective. Again, stress doesn't just happen when we are in a certain situation, right? Because if it was from the situation itself, every single person in America would feel stressed from the election. But not every human being was stressed from the election. Like I voted myself, like I was engaged about it. I wasn't so engaged, but I wasn't feeling stressed about it, if I'm gonna be honest. Like I really wasn't stressed about the election. I did my voting on voting day and and that was it for me. Like I didn't engage in it anymore. I didn't find any reason for it to be stressful for me. And that was just my experience of it, because stress is subjective. Stress comes from your perception of the circumstance, your perception of the situation, instead of the situation itself. Okay, so we have to learn this truth before I teach you about the tool that I'm gonna help you with stress eating, okay? Because the way that I teach my clients is that I never teach you how to avoid something. Like, I don't teach you how to avoid stress, how to get rid of stress, because stress is always just gonna come. It's just a human emotion. I help you just understand your stress and help you find out why you have the stress, the root cause of your stress. And when you find out the root cause of it, which is your perception, your thought about something that makes you feel stressed, you create stress for yourself when you think about something a certain way, when you interpret something a certain way that's stressful. When you realize that, then you have the opportunity to stop feeling stressed. Because if you're the one who created the stress for you, you have the opportunity to stop feeling stressed. You have the opportunity to stop creating stress if you think differently about the same exact situation. So let me give you an example. So as a nurse in the hospital, that was where I said I did majority of my stress eating. That's where I found out I have been a stress eater for a while. And when I was at work, I'd always feel so overwhelmed and stressed because I felt like I had a perception that I had to do all the damn things. I thought I had to wash every patient. I thought I had to give all my meds. I thought I had to answer all the call-outs, answer all the phone calls on a 17-bed unit. I'm like, I thought I had to do all the things, and not gonna lie, I was kind of like one of those perfectionist type A nurses that want to do like everything. Okay, so because I thought I had to do all the things, of course I felt stressed, of course I felt overwhelmed, and of course I went to the staff break room to eat the cookies because I just felt stressed all the time and I didn't want to feel stressed anymore. Okay, on the other hand, I had a colleague, let's just call her Emily, and Emily, that's not her true name by the way, but Emily, whenever she would be on the unit, she was always literally like calm. Like she would never, she almost seemed like she didn't have emotions sometimes. Like she was just always calm. Like she never stressed. I never saw her cry. I never saw her complain. Any assignment you give her, any patient assignment you give her, she was always cool with it. Like always kind of like chill, like cool and mellow. Nothing, she would never complain about anything. She would always just go along with everything. And that's what really helped me see, like, you know, she's in the same exact situation as me. It's like she's in the same exact unit. She's the same exact kind of nurse I am, but she's never stressed. She's never frazzled, overwhelmed. She's just always calm and cool. While I'm like running around all over the place, trying to be everywhere, all over, you know, be everyone for everybody. And, you know, that didn't work out, obviously. So the reason why she was cool was because she had a perception about work that didn't make her feel stressed. She probably thought something along the lines of like, this isn't hard, this is easy, this isn't a big deal. You know, I can't read her mind, but she was thinking thoughts. She had a perception about work that helped her not feel stressed, and so she didn't need to overeat or stress eat. And that's the secret, you guys. Like the first thing I'm going to share with you with my tool on how to, basically how to create your own stress action plan. If you're feeling that desire to eat, when you have stress, you know, first is really noticing when you have the stress, like what does that feel like in your body? Notice when the stress comes up for you, right? Like for most people, like for me, it's like I want to pull my hair out. I feel like my heart's racing faster. I feel like I'm starting to feel like maybe a burning kind of urgent sensation in my chest. So that's how stress feels like for me, so know what that's like for you. And when you notice that's happening, I want you to do 3 things. And because you have to notice that, and you have to notice your desire to eat. So if you're wanting to eat when you're stressed, you have to ask yourself, why are you feeling stressed? That's the first question. Jot that down in the comments. Why are you feeling stressed? The second question you want to ask yourself is, what problem are you hoping the food will solve? What problem are you hoping the food will solve? And then the last question is, how can you solve this problem without food? All right? Again, number 1 is, why are you feeling stressed? Number 2 is, what problem are you hoping the food will solve? And number 3 is, how can you solve this problem without food? And I had to do this for myself in the unit. Like I had to really look at like, what am I thinking the food will solve for me? Like I thought that eating the food would make me feel better. I thought that it would get rid of my problems, but I realized the true problem was that I was taking on all the things. I kept taking on everybody's job. I wasn't delegating. I wasn't asking for help. I wasn't setting limits on my time. I wasn't prioritizing my time well. So I had to learn how to actually manage my time better, how to delegate tasks, how to work as a team player, you know, how to actually work together with people, how to be a leader. I had to learn all those things, and then finally it got to this point where I stopped stress eating because I wasn't feeling stressed anymore. Like I wasn't feeling as overwhelmed anymore. I started leaving work on time. Like before I would always stay overtime at work, but then I was starting to leave work on time consistently. I started prioritizing tasks, and I didn't have to stress eat anymore. So those are the 3 questions I want you guys to ask yourself if you're feeling stressed out. If you want to eat as a quick, like kind of knee-jerk reaction to the stress, do not eat. When the stress comes up, don't eat in response to that, because the stress is trying to tell you something. The stress is trying to tell you how to solve the problem. It's an indication there's a problem that needs to be solved. So work on solving the actual problem so you don't have to eat. Because once the problem's eliminated, then you don't have to eat anymore to feel better. All right, you guys, so I hope this was helpful. I love talking about stress eating because this is so near and dear to my heart, especially, you know, sometimes it still does affect me as a human being on this planet, and I just learn from it. I learn from what my emotions are trying to tell me. I learn from what the stress is trying to tell me, and that's all there is to it. And then you just keep moving forward. And if you guys want more support with me directly, if you want to get some more, if you have more questions and you want to talk with me on Facebook Live, I have an amazing Facebook support group for anyone who wants to go sugar-free. It's called the Sugar-Free Self-Care Squad, and you could find the link in the caption below. I'd love to have you as a member, where I go on Facebook Live twice a week, and I could answer your questions, and I also give some tips on eating sugar-free and how to be consistent and motivated constantly. All right, guys, so thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Sugar-Free Self-Care TV. I hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving, and I hope you have an awesome weekend ahead. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care, and see you in the Facebook group.